January 28th, 1963. Australian actress Marcia Hathaway was enjoying her day off by going to Sydney's Little Bay Beach. The famous actress was extremely busy and did not get a lot of time off, so when the rare occasion came, she tried to make the best of it, and for the most part, this day was no different from the others. Her and 6 other friends, including her fiancé, Frederick Knight, had planned a day of boating and picnicking by the water. However, after a few hours, one of the men dared Marcia to jump into the water to prove she could swim. She obliged and jumped in. She immediately welcomed the cool sensation. However, after a few minutes, Frederick became worried. Marcia started swimming further and further away from the boat. Worried, he told her not to go too far offshore. She looked at him and smiled and nodded her head. Frederick then saw a small striped fish swim past his knee. It couldn't have been more than a foot long. For the next few moments, he stared at it, trying to figure out what kind of species it could possibly be. However, his focus was then interrupted by the terrifying screams of Marcia. He looked over and saw a sight that would haunt him for the rest of his life. He never saw that look before in his girlfriend. In fact, he never saw that expression before in his life. And as the water turned red all around her, he knew what it was. It was the gaze of true and utter fear, as Marcia was being eaten alive in front of her friends. Hello, my name is Joseph Palmer, and today I wanted to talk about the heartbreaking death of actress Marcia Hathaway, a 32-year-old woman who was eaten alive by a shark while swimming in Little Bay Beach in 1963. A quick warning before we begin. There are some photos of the aftermath of the attack, which I will show in this video. So if this isn't for you, I completely understand, and recommend checking out other videos on my channel, as I'm sure you'll find a few that will interest you. Now without further ado, let's begin. Marcia Nellie Hathaway was born on February 8, 1930, in Milsons Point, New South Wales. Ever since she was little, Marcia always dreamed of becoming an actress, working tirelessly to study screenplays. In the beginning, she found work as a voice actress, starring in many radio dramas for Australia's largest radio station, Sydney Radio. She did well in her early years. However, it wasn't until 1960 when she landed the role in the film Shadow of the Boomerang. It is the story of American brother and sister, Bob and Kathy Prince, who moved to Australia to manage a cattle station owned by their father. Bob has a racist attitude and always has a negative word to add. Kathy, on the other hand, is sincere, lovable, who provides a reasonable balance. But after hearing a message by evangelist Billy Graham on the radio, Bob has a change of heart and learns to accept the Aboriginal people. The film was received well, getting relatively decent scores, and in 1961, Marcia secured a role on the TV film Harlequinade. At this point in time, the 31-year-old actress was a working actor, and people believe her star would only increase from there. She also found love, becoming engaged to a man by the name of Frederick Knight. Unfortunately, all good things cannot last forever, and on January 28, 1963, Marcia, Frederick, and a few other friends decided to spend the day on the water, in Middle Harbour. During the boat trip, a friend dared Marcia to prove she could swim. Not wanting to disappoint, she jumped into the water. Frederick joined her, and after a few moments, Marcia believed she was struck by an octopus in just 30 inches of water. Quote, "We had been in the water for about 5 minutes, and I was about 12 to 15 feet away from Marcia, with my back to her. And then I heard her call out, 'I think an octopus has got me.' But when Knight looked down, his blood ran cold. Instead of an octopus, he saw his lover being dragged underwater by a bull shark. He sprang into action and bravely tried to wrestle the massive bull shark, even straddling its back at one point in his efforts to free Hathaway. However, the shark had sunk its jagged teeth deep into her thigh. I kept hold of Marcia and kept trying to drag her away from the shark," Knight told the Sydney Morning Herald following the attack. "The water was stained with blood, and I never thought I would get her away from it. I think at one stage I had my foot in its mouth. It was soft and spongy." Knight, along with other friends, managed to wrestle Marcia away from the shark. Nearby boat owners saw the attack and sprang into action, ripping sheets off their bunks to use as tourniquets. Marcia was quickly losing blood, and time was running out. Finally, when the ambulance arrived, another issue occurred. It broke down. A dozen men tried their best to push the ambulance up a hill, but after a while they realized they would need to get another one. Knight remembered being stunned at how Hathaway remained calm as she lost consciousness. When I asked her if it hurt, she told me, "No, I am not in pain. I have seen men die, but I have never seen anyone as brave as Marcia." I think the last words she said to me were, "Don't worry about me, dear. God will look after me." By the time another ambulance arrived at the scene, Hathaway had stopped breathing and passed away from her injuries. Riled up by her tragic demise, locals returned to the area to snare the bull shark. They reportedly caught the beast they believed killed the actress and put it on display for the public. In 1963, floodlights of St. Stephen's Church were donated to the memory of Marcia. A plaque inside the church reads, "The floodlights of this church were donated by members of the performing arts to the glory of God and in memory of Marcia Ann Hathaway, actress and devout Christian, victim of a shark attack in Middle Harbor." Marcia Hathaway was a beautiful woman, well on her way to becoming a star. Unfortunately, her life was cut short by a bull shark. Although Marcia passed away, she left behind a loving fiancé who would cherish her memory for the rest of his life.